3:14. That means it's March 14th, 2022. I'm your host, Duane. This is the weekly tap in, and I'm tapping in. What's going on, family? What's really good? Talk to me. Hope all is well. Make sure that wherever you tapping in from, put it in the comments, man, so we can give you a shout out. Got some stuff back there. So yeah, man. Pi Day, man. If you don't know what that means, it's 3:14. It's also mathematical equation. So those are my math nerds or people who enjoy math. This is something that should be near and dear to your heart. But nonetheless, yeah, man. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that. If you haven't hit the subscription, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please do so. I want to thank you all. We just passed 500 subscribers on YouTube, which may not seem like much, but man, we're a very niche product, right? We're very, very narrow, right? There's not a lot of people that can relate to us. Most people went the square route. This podcast is for those who have bumped their head or are in the process of bumping their head and would like some ideas and also some assistance on how they can get out or around that. So that's what we'll be talking about today, man. Today is really interesting too because we're talking about comparison, comparing ourselves to others, right? Which is something that we're all guilty of, right? What's up, Steven? All right. Fifth Ward in the building, baby. We're all guilty of this, right? So this one, I know I'm gonna hit a few nerves on this. What's going on, Samuel? ATL in the house. I know for a fact that I'm going to touch a few people on this, what we're talking about today, that comparison, man. That I'm going to tell you like this. Of all the dream killers out there, that's probably the most deadly one. I'm going to just keep that 100 with you, homie. Of all the dream killers, comparison or comparing ourselves to other people are probably. And the reason why I say that is, I'll give you a prime example. I was just talking to my mother and my wife about what's going on, Tanisha, about something that just made this a little bit more concrete. I teach, right? So there was a guy that taught at the same school as me, and he was he had a PhD, this and this and that. And I'm like, he taught the same class that I taught. I'm like, man, this dude is smacking me, right? But the students still love me, right? They still, I ain't gonna say love me, but really enjoyed my teaching. And the whole time I'm thinking I'm intimidated by this dude's PhD. I start looking at his background. He's got these connections. I'm like, man, how can I compete? Right? Again, comparing myself to something that I assume, right? This is what I'm just reading. I don't know anything about this guy, right? And a lot of times when we make our comparisons, we don't know much about what we're comparing ourselves to. We compare ourselves to surface level things, right? We look at somebody and we just like, you know what, I'm gonna compare myself to them, and I have no idea who they are, how they got there, what they done to work to get there, what type of blessings they were already born with. I don't know anything, but here I am comparing myself to them. I don't know how long they've been at it. I don't know how hard they work at it. I don't know what sacrifices they're making. But here I am comparing myself to them. And back to my story. So I'm talking like, I asked students today, I'm like, man, there's a certification they can get on Google and they can get extra credit. The certifications I'll tell you guys about. So don't think that I haven't spoken it to you all. But the same certifications that I'll tell you all about, I'm making available to them for extra credit. And one of the things that two of my students said was, hey, if we already have this certification, will you give us credit? I was like, well, where'd you get the certification? They mentioned that professor. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I heard of him. I heard he's pretty good. And they were like, no, shaking their head, glad he's gone, da-da-da-da-da, how you never showed up to class. And that's the thing, right? You don't know a person or a situation in its entirety, right? We don't know everything about that situation. So why are we choosing to compare ourselves to that situation? And my point is, Here I am comparing myself to this cat, and this cat never shows up, right? But on paper, he looks like money. And I'm like, why did he leave? They probably told him he had to go. I don't know. My point is, you don't know what anybody's situation is, right? We have no idea. And the thing about it is, oftentimes when we're comparing ourselves to others, we're neglecting what our current position is. We're neglecting what blessings we've already asked and received, right? We've already asked and received for these blessings. Now we're sitting here because the only time our blessings look meek or look, small compared is when we look at someone else's. Right? As long as if we move on up from where we've been and only focus on what our last move was, we're fine. It's when we start to look into that right and left lane, right? As if we're competing against somebody else, as if everybody else has the same set of circumstances that they're beginning with. We can't compare ourselves in a race to somebody if we're not at the same starting line. We didn't have the same start. You don't know what someone else did. I used to do that in the game. Oh, I used to be bad at that. You're like, man, how does Caps and they're coming up? How they getting a cheaper ticket than me? You don't know who they know. You don't know what their situation is. And a lot of times, you don't know what their fate is going to be either. And that's the thing that we really need to really focus on is what fate, what could happen. A lot of things could happen. You know what I'm saying? You thinking that it's a certain way. But something else can happen, something that detrimental, right? You could be up. I thought about that a long time ago in the game. I said the highest ranking gangster, whatever you call it, is John Gotti, who had cats on the payroll, had you name it, still got cracked. So I said to myself, man, I can't, you know what I mean? This is a game I can't win, so I'm not going to compare myself to I'm going to compare myself so I can get up out of this game. But other than that, I remember, dude get these. Oh, we got some gold ones. I got to hurry up and get mine. And God, a lot of times, is preventing you, right? When you get in that, you can't get a certain level. There's a reason why you can't get at a certain level. And it might be preventing you from getting the fed time. I thank God that I didn't get up to more than what I was. To what I really wanted to be, man, I would have probably still been in jail. And that's the thing. You think you want a certain thing. You think you want this, right? You compare yourself to somebody who's in dynamite shape. We do that so many times, right? Personal trainers, right? Personal trainers, God bless you cats, but y'all low-key are the worst. Because this is what you do for a living. This is what you do all the time. This is what you do every single day. I'm one of your clients, but you got 8 of me for 8 hours in a day. So you're literally around somebody working out, or you're physically working out yourself for 8 hours or more times a day. I can't compete with that, right? So I can't compare myself to a personal trainer. What I can do is compare myself to a dad who has the same schedule as I do. Right? That's a legitimate comparison. If you want to sit up there, if you want to go apples to apples or whatever the case may be, right? Then that makes sense, right? But other than that, no. Why would I do that and torture myself? Because that's one of the things that you do. Once you do put yourself in a position where you're doing unachievable things, or you're envying somebody who you don't know their entire situation. You don't know if that person has to. I like what I eat, right? I like the food that I eat. I enjoy myself. Am I in the best? Okay, well, look, I'm happy. I like who I am. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I like who I am. I love what I have. And when you have that type of belief in faith in what you already have and with the blessings of God, because we all ask for these blessings at some point in time. The life that we're living right now, we asked for it. The girl, the house, the city, it was a blessing at some point in time. So when did we start to neglect it, right? When did we start to stop appreciating it? When did we start to stop saying, oh, okay, well, you know what? God, how about giving me something else? How about, what about what they got, right? And you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what type of windfall someone got. Somebody may have passed away and left them a ton of money. You don't know anything. But here, lo and behold, comparing ourselves to others. Right? That's the worst torture that you can do. And we constantly do it all the time. Man, let me compare man, what they got. Not even you don't even have time to look at your blessing. Like I always tell my son this all the time. I'm like, hey man, I said, you can't focus. If you looking at somebody else's blessing, man, yours is going to flying out of your hand. And that's the key right there. It's like, man, in addition to this, there's somebody who's comparing themselves to you, wishing that they were in your shoes. That's the crazy part about it. No matter what the situation is, there's somebody that wishes they were in your position. Seriously. You think it, man, mom, no. There's somebody that wishes they could be where you are, even though you wish you could be somewhere else. We're always looking for this ideal state. They talk about that in consumer behavior. Actual state versus ideal state, right? Where you want to be versus where you actually are. Then at that time, you create that angst, the anxiety. Oh, I gotta get there. I gotta try. Man, slow down. You gotta run your own race at your own pace. You gotta understand who you are, right? You can't focus on what somebody else is becoming. If you focus on what somebody else is becoming, then you lose focus of what your intentions are, and you don't know what theirs is, right? They may be on some revenge stuff. I'm about to get a better body, show this whoop-de-wham, that who knows what they're on. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful who you follow or who you try to compare yourself to. Dig a little deeper, get to know, and understand that interference and prevention is not necessarily a bad thing. This may be something that God's trying to do to you, right? Trying to prevent you from doing something. Trying to prevent you from becoming something that he knows deep down inside you don't really want to become. Oftentimes we look at other people and, man, I wish. I remember when I started college, man, the homies are still coming around, cats are still balling, money in my face, cars, and I'm on the struggle bus. That sucked. You know what I'm saying? That hurt. But also at the same time, I've learned, be patient. Be patient. I'm either going to bless you, or be patient, or I'm either going to teach you. One of the two is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But be patient. Because that's when a lot of times when you're patient and you see other people, you don't wish any downfall, you don't wish anything, but you learn from other people's situations and moves that they make. And that's where the teaching comes in, right? The blessing comes in where you need to wait your turn. Wait your turn, homie. We've had podcast episodes, more than one on waiting your turn. You got to be patient, homie. And don't block your blessings by being impatient and start to work for the enemy. Because the enemy's lurking, posted right outside. As soon as you come outside, hey, homie, bro, I got a suggestion for you. Here's a lick. Here's this. Here's that, right? I tell my son all the time, I'm like, the enemy be at you. Here's a suggestion. And he come and take you away, right? There's a Kendrick Lamar song called For Sale, man. One of the best parts on there. It's like he talking to he breathed hard, Kendrick going, and then the dude comes in, like, what's wrong? You know what I'm saying? I thought you was keeping it gangster. Ain't this what you wanted? Right? And that's the thing. You got to be the suggestion. He'll come with it. Especially when you get desperate. You'll start to cheat. And man, nobody going to know. Right? Who's that? That's Lucy. Right? That's what Kendrick called him, Lucy. Lucifer, whatever you want to call the fool's name, man. He around and he active. like one of them gang, he active, man. He out here in traffic. You liable to bump into him anywhere. But he has suggestions, ideas to pass, all that. That's all he has, right? No future plans. But he's often one of the ones that comes in with them suggestive methods. Trying to compare you, send somebody down to look. Man, we was at the beach this weekend. And I was just laughing because my wife, we were just talking about that. I said, I'm happy with who I am. I said, I don't need the little baby waist with the huge and the back all, I'm cool. I'll get there if I want that. I said, I'd rather just be able to do pull-ups and be in good shape and do that. And lo and behold, when we go to the beach, cat walking around with no shirt on, swole. I'm like, okay, so here's where the envy starts, right? And that's the thing. When you start talking about it, man, there's two people that hear you. The universe and that other fool. He hears you too. So you got to be careful with that. When you put it out there, just know that there are going to be challenges. Anytime you're doing something good, anytime you have positive intentions, there are going to be challenges. May not come, but be prepared for it, right? I ain't even gonna say it may not come. More than likely, it's gonna come, especially if it's really important and if it's got something to do with God. He's gonna come around. He's gonna try to bring the noise and the wind and try to blow you. But if your foundation's solid, meaning that you understand what type of warfare is getting ready to happen and what you're going through spiritually, because most people think that this is just a materialistic world. These are all just. This is just whatever. We're in a spiritual battle, and the thing about it is to prove to the universe that positive and good exists as well. Now, I don't want to go all metaphysical and all that on you, but I'm trying to kick some real stuff to you, right? I understand. I've been around for a minute, 45 years, and I've seen a lot, right? I mean, I've been in some really hairy, interesting situations where only me and God knew what time it was and how we got up out of it. That's it. And that's the crazy part about it, right? So when I'm not preaching. I'm definitely not preaching. That's not what I do. But what I do is spit facts. And a lot of times that can be church to some folks. And I hope it can be to the majority of you guys. And I look at that, homie. And the crazy part about it is oftentimes, when we sit up there and start looking at other people, right, or other things or situations, that's when it hurts. When we sit back and do a blessing audit, right? When we just go through and start looking around, damn, my water is cold, right? Because if you've been to the pen, you already know what time it is with the cold water. It ain't popping, right? No cold water, dogs. County jail, what? Man, please, ice. So when you start doing the inventory, damn, refrigerator works, gas expensive, you know what I mean? But I got a little bit in my tank, you know what I mean? I can walk to the store. It's a store walk, right? Anybody been to the what's going on? Indo, love, D-Boss, see you. I see all the fam up in here. And that's the thing, right? When you look at when you go do an appreciation audit, let me look at everything that I have, blessing wise, man. I'm standing up, man. I'm tall, I'm this. I always do that. I go, man, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You could even do it like that. At the end of the day, homie, I got this popping, I got this, I did this, I'm doing this, I got the wife I won. I got the kids on. My kids are helping. You know what I mean? You could just go down a list of things because there's some people that can't go down that list and they still trying to thrive in life. And you could do it too, right? Blessings are I'm the type of cat. I don't want to hear what the problem is. I want to hear what is working and what can we do about it. Because talking about the problem ain't going to do nothing to make the problem bigger and buffer. Just like talking about somebody else. It's going to make them seem bigger. But what can I do? What do I have? What my inventory looking like, right? Okay. Car, boom. You know what I mean? I did that. Like, I see cats with low riders. And I remember that used to, oh, man, I need to get, like, man, been there and done that one. I'm good. I remember I had these. You know what I'm saying? I remember I had days. I remember I used to, the rubber hammer, the whole nine. But I'm over that now. Right? So I'm cool. I don't have to look over I don't have to worry about nobody breaking in my garage, none of that stuff now, right? So you got to do a blessings. Like what Jay Prince talked about that, right? Write down your blessings. Man, what happened good? How did I win? What did he bless me with? Okay, I got up today. All right, stove still works. All right, my starter didn't go out, right? Battery still works. I got oil in my tank. I mean, in my car. I got gas in my tank. My heater works. You know what I'm saying? Bath works. I got soap up in this piece. You know, you could go on and on because unless you've been without some of that stuff, you don't know like, man, nah, dog, it's been ugly before. So if you've been with a situation where it's been ugly, you understand, you quick to get on your, man, that's these cats walking around like it's popping all the time. Like, man, homie, if you've been behind that wall, you really get it. Like, homie, because it is. You have no idea what the bottom feels like unless you've been to the bottom. Right? If you ain't been to the bottom, you may think you at the bottom now and there's a cat just dancing around you. He like, You're like, man, but we at the bottom. He like, that's what you think. He like, we can get lower than this, right? And that's real. Because it can get lower than that, right? And until we reach a lot of those points before we start counting in blessings like that. Start looking around and start, you know what, man? I'm actually low-key winning. I'm actually up. I'm actually Like what's the apple? So I actually look real good today, right? You get your OT Genesis on, right? Throw that on in the morning. If you feeling down, that's song of the year. I look real good today. It's short, like 2 minutes. Throw on some OT Genesis. I'm telling you, because you have to pump yourself up as opposed to comparing yourself to something that's unrealistic. A lot of times you don't know what stage somebody's in. Somebody may be in a way more advanced stage. I'm gonna compare myself to Amazon. Amazon sales are out of this world. They ain't always been out of this world. A lot of these companies are hella old. We just are now getting wind of them, right? We are just now getting wind of Krispy Kreme. But Krispy Kreme been around since I think the 20s or something like that. It's been around for a long ass time. And a lot of, I just was watching you guys got to watch this, the Food to Build America. A lot of the wars, the Subway wars, the donut wars was on yesterday. But those are the things that I watch, right? I don't compare us. Like, I compare our mistakes, the mistakes we made. I compare our mistakes to their mistakes. I'm like, oh, they messed it up too? Oh, they didn't have the recipe right either? Oh, okay. That's how I use comparison, right? If you're going to flip it around and make it a positive, use it like, okay, so they made mistakes too. Oh, he got his car repoed too. Okay, well and then you start to change your perception. And you said, oh, this is part of the process. So everybody that went through success got such and such taken, right? Everybody got fired. Everybody got, kicked out of their house. Oh, this is part. And you start to change. Okay, well, it's not that bad. I know I can pull myself out of it. If Will Smith did it, he can pull. If I did, okay, well, let me get to working. And you flip your perspective. So if you are going to compare yourself to somebody, compare yourself to their faults and say, okay, they got faults too. They messed up too. They took an L too. They got F's in the class too, right? I'm not unique in that situation, right? If we have to compare ourselves to somebody, why not make it that way, right? And start to say, okay, cool, man, part of the process. Next. You start to bring on those challenges. But other than that, it is impossible for you to compare yourself to somebody else because God designed your path for you. Period. It's not another path for somebody else that's similar to yours. Okay, that's why let's go to college together. Man, we got two different objectives. God didn't put us together so we can go to college. We might be really good friends, but we're not supposed to go do these things together. I'm supposed to be on my own path. Designed for me. Right? Custom. You ain't never if you put on a custom suit, you be like, damn, it felt like it was built for me and I ain't seen nobody my size ever. Absolutely, man. And so is your dreams and goals. They're built custom for you. They're not for anybody else. So it's hard to take advice from somebody else who can't speak on your destiny. How? You can't, can't speak on mine. You could throw me a nugget, you know what I'm saying? Some sauce. But this thing that me and God got going, man, it's between us, man. You can't, matter of fact, the plans are in language that you can't interpret. Impossible. So that's why it's so important for us to go through our experiences. We have to go through our experiences. They're part of our process. It's part of the process, right? It's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. There's processes. There's time, right? It needs to do this. It needs to build this and transfer. You got to go to some things too. So you can't compare yourself to a butterfly while you're in a caterpillar phase. Why would you do that to yourself, right? You ain't been here long enough, right? You ain't absorbed enough sun. You ain't ate up enough of these plants or whatever the hell you doing. Why are you comparing this? Look at that butterfly. Yeah, while you still on some nasty green worm looking shit, right? And look at the butterfly fly. Yeah, you'll be there too. You're going to get there too, homie. Don't trip. You will eventually get there. But there's processes that we need to go to, right? There's processes that we need to endure. There's processes. So why are we trying to skip the line? Oh, let me cut in front of you, dog. Man, you cutting in front of something that you don't know why you in that stage in line. There's some things that you may not get, right? My son didn't get invited. They were doing belt testing for his dojo. He didn't get the invite because there's some things that he needs to work on. He needs to get better at certain things, which is fantastic, right? A lot of times we think when we're held back, when we're pushed back, or we're not reaching the level that we're reaching, we're not polished yet. You don't want to go on, like back in the day, you don't want to go on the Shaw or anything like that, and your D's ain't all the way polished. Some cat gonna come and, oh, damn, that's how my D's should look. Yes, that's probably how they should look. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to be like that, right? So when you come out the gate, you want to be right. So practice now, right, while nobody's looking. That's the thing. That's why I'm doing this consistently, while nobody's looking. Eventually, they're going to start looking. There's people looking now, and I appreciate that. But I'm building a lot of different things in this. I'm building consistency, first of all, right? And then I'm also sharing, I'm using this as a therapy. Now I can share things that are important to me, the things that bother me, and hope that I can spread a message to you. The word won't affect you the same way, because you're on your own path. Always remember that. You're on your own path, right? Even though I may kick game, I may give you resources, I may put you up on things, you're on your own path, right? So respect the hurdles, the obstacles, the Heismans that people give you. Respect it. If you're going to compare yourself to somebody, compare yourself on that tip alone, not to their achievements, right? Because their achievements are stayed. You don't know what stage you're in, but you know in the beginning, everybody had a beginning, right? So I don't care how old the company, how new, we all at the beginning, so I can compare that. Okay, did Jeff Bezos get his phone cut off? Okay, shit, me too. Oh, he damn near got kicked out of Amazon because they couldn't come up with rent. Oh, word. Krispy Kreme, all of them, same problem. Couldn't pay rent, couldn't come up with payroll. Oh, you thought you were unique. You thought your business was, you thought you were a failure. No, the moral to that story is keep going and you'll be a success, right? Because that's what I took away from it. Keep going, just keep going. Even if you damn near reach bankruptcy. I remember they were talking about Krispy Kreme. He couldn't sell donuts. Right, some of the bakeries, and because they were just a wholesaler, people were knocking on their door because they could smell the donuts. So they would come to the factory. Hey man, you guys selling donuts? Hey, people up the way ain't selling none. They're like, nah, we just sell wholesale. Kept knocking at the door. Next few minutes, oh boy, start breaking the thing down. He built a service window. Walk right up, donuts popping. So, right, negatives turn into positives. Right, and I'm looking for those kind of stories. I'm not going to compare myself to Krispy Kreme having 1,000+ stores now and us not having one. That's torture. But I can't compare myself to, you ain't selling nothing, what do you do? Okay, you feel what I'm saying? I may be in that position right now where I'm not selling nothing. What can I do? That's the stories. Those are the morals of the story. That's what you pull up out of it, right? Don't torture yourself with the victories, right? Damn, my money ain't up. Or a lot of times what will happen is you'll hear the origin of the story. Somebody got a nest egg of money. Okay, well, find something else to compare yourself to. Compare yourself to their failures, not the achievements. Your achievements are going to be unique, but failures are pretty consistent across the board. Everybody inexperienced, didn't know, made the same mistake, stepped in the same pothole, messed off the money, bought a little too much of this. That's why it's so important to read and watch and listen to stories. You can get so much out of somebody's whatever experience. So I'm trying to find stories. I'm looking on, like my relative put me up on, he on there anyway, Endo put me up on Deep Fried Dynasty to show me how they set goals at these state fairs, right? The turkey leg guy was popping, the fools had 4 or 5 booths, but these are strategic, right? How much they invested in it versus what they're getting back. That's what I'm talking about. So if I'm going to compare myself, okay, well, boom, all right. They got a lady on there, they got 1 booth who's trying to get 2, right? She's selling deep fried collard greens at a state fair in Texas, popping, and they putting their goals. They're making $8-9 grand a day. These is putting ideas in my head. You dig? Right? But giving me goals and also strategically how they set it up, some of the pitfalls. So if I'm comparing myself to what they're doing? No. If I am, I'm going to say like this, because right, I'm on some positive, right? I listen to Deion Sanders a lot. Prime time, right? But at the same time, right? It's showing me what I could become. It's showing me my potential. So if I am going to compare myself, I'm going to say that's what I can do, if not more than that, because it's already being done. If it's already being done by a human, man, unless you are a droid, shit, you got a chance too, right? I mean, to be honest, unless there's some type of superhero or something, which I don't know of, hey man, I feel like I'm just as good. You know what I'm saying? So, don't count me out. You dig? So that if you're going to compare yourself, there's ways to do it strategically. You know what I mean? If you have to, because by nature as humans we do it. What first thing we do, we sizing people up, right? We men, especially men. With this cat. We got that same machismo type attitude towards a lot of things, right? Sizing people up. It's just our natural competitive instinct, especially if you played any type of sports. You size up your competition. What? Who are you, right? Which is fine. But don't get too caught up into that. Don't get too caught up into what they do well. Okay, well, you could pick and choose, steal a little bit here, right? But not take everything like, damn, I'm never going to be that. Again, you might be in your caterpillar stage and they might be in their full-blown butterfly stage. And that's quite okay, right? Work your caterpillarism. You dig? Be that. Just understand what your potential could be. I could still, okay, so the butterfly, all right, I know what I'm about to do. You start getting your Birdman, rubbing your hands together like, okay, I'm about to be a butterfly. And you start acting as such. So you start to see the potential. So whatever you want to become, you can become. Absolutely. I just saw on here a cat who was in jail, became a plastic surgeon. Right? Whatever, sky's the limit right now. Especially right now. Maybe 20 years ago, as a convict, life was over. Not now. Right? Opportunity is here. You can be whatever you want to become. Everybody's looking for an amazing story. Right? I'm okay with not mind being low key, whatever the case may be. When it's time, it's time. And if it ain't time, it might be somebody else's. As long as my intent is the same. Doesn't matter what the results are, man. I'm moving away from results, more focused on intent. F the results, man. The results are irrelevant. F how somebody responds to me. Their response is irrelevant. Because everything's based on my intention and what I intended to do. What was my intention? Was it to get you to respond? Was it to make you happy? Was it to get you to like me? If that's the case, then that's not my proper intention. That's hoping I get something in return that feeds my ego. I don't need that right now. So my thing is, all you got to do is give game, keep giving. Everything else will fall in line. Give game, keep giving it. Be as honest as you possibly can. Show them what you've learned, how you've made your mistakes, how certain things have pigeonholed you. Have pigeonholed you, and let them make their decision from that point. Because again, advice is subjective. We're all on our own individual paths. But again, one of the worst things and most deadly things that we can do to our dreams are compared to somebody else's. Be happy for somebody else when they get their blessing. It's hard. I know, especially if we're the same age, you grew up in the same neighborhood. It's difficult. Like, damn, why not me? Right? And then you start to check yourself. Damn, man, hold on. God kind of checks you. Hey, hold on, homie. You're supposed to be happy for your homeboy. You're supposed to be happy for your relative. You're supposed to be happy for your family member. You're supposed to be. But if you're not, then you're not ready for your blessing. So that may be the reason why you're not receiving it yet. Is because you're not giving the proper response. And it doesn't matter if you got the or the late like 3 weeks later, oh, I just seen your shit. They know, God knows your intention. He does. So you can't escape that. So if you was even on some low-key hater shit, God knows it anyways. So you got to check that and say, let me dig deeper and figure out why I got that in me anyways. Why I can't be happy for the homie, the homegirl, my relative? Why, man, what is up with me? And you got to pull yourself up, talk to yourself, and check yourself. Because if you don't get rid of that part, you'll keep taking that test over and over again. And God's waiting on you to pass that exam. He's waiting on you. But if you keep failing the test over and over again, you're going to keep retaking it. So he'll give you an opportunity as soon as this podcast is over with to go like and love on somebody's shit and see if you do it. And if you don't, check yourself on that. Like, damn, D just told me he was going to give me an opportunity. I'll blow it again. There'll be more. Get in the habit of doing it, it becomes habit, it becomes second nature, and eventually you'll start believing it. I actually do. I am happy for this cat winning, man. Same age. I know that once I see them winning, I know that the winning is still happening. Right? Once I see people blessed, God's still in the blessing business. So again, if I'm going to compare myself, compare it to the first day. And if it's too much for you, if somebody's getting blessed, then to know it's possible that I can get it too. Indeed, that will conclude our weekly tap in for this week. Hope you truly enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the subscription button, hit the notifications so that you do not miss an episode. We are here every Monday, 7 p.m. Make sure you join us, tell a friend, share. We couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it without our sponsors, hairlivery.com, mentorsla.com, and Cheryl's Famous Fried Chicken. If you ever come into the city, particularly this summer, look up those businesses. Other than that, I'm still reading Adam Grant Thick again. I've been writing my paper. I'm reading a couple other books as well. I'm reading a book on pricing too, pricing models and et cetera, et cetera. So God bless you. I will see you all next week, and I'm tapping out.